Hi friends, today let's put Viserys Targaryen from the Song of Ice and Fire series into the spotlight. Viserys Targaryen is one of the last Targaryens left alive in this series. He is Daenerys Targaryen's older brother and therefore believes he's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne.
When they write the history of my reign, sweet sister, they will say it began today.
This belief leads him to obsessing over returning to Westeros and winning back his throne. Part of his plan is marrying his little sister off to a Dothraki king in exchange for an army.
I give him a queen, and he gives me an army.
Unfortunately for him, and I guess fortunately for everybody else, Viserys isn't very polite towards the Dothraki. This leads Daenerys and her new husband to kill Viserys.
No! No! You cannot touch me! I am the dragon! I am a dragon!
Both the name Viserys and the name Targaryen were made up by George R.R. Martin for this series. He was heavily inspired by Nordic culture and Nordic mythology. However, it's unclear where Martin got the inspiration for these names. Viserys Targaryen is very obviously from House Targaryen. The Sigil of House Targaryen is a three-headed red dragon on a black field. At first glance, the symbolism of the sigil is pretty obvious. The Targaryens are the Dragon Kings. For hundreds of years, they had dragons that they would take into battle. However, there is a lot more symbolism to this sigil. When the color red is used on a flag, it's used to symbolize power, revolution, war, blood, and domination. Obviously, all of these link very well to the Targaryen family. They started a massive war to unite the Seven Kingdoms into one and to become the ruling family of this kingdom. That definitely hits all of these points of power, domination, war, and blood. Blood's also going to come back a bit later when talking of the house words. However, the colour red also symbolises fire, and as I mentioned earlier, the Targaryens had dragons that they would take into war. When black is used on a flag, it's used to symbolise determination, death, ethnic heritage, and defeat of your enemies. Again, a lot of these fall under the idea of killing everybody so that you get the throne. However, there's an interesting point here: ethnic heritage. The Targaryens wanted to keep their bloodline pure so that the royal family was always pure and never tainted. What they believed was the best way to accomplish this was to marry brother to sister. This explains why Viserys believed that he had a right to his sister. Now, the dragon is a bit more complicated. We don't really have many dragons on flags in our world, so they don't have a set symbolism. However, as I mentioned earlier, Martin was heavily inspired by Norse mythology, and there is a Nordic myth with a dragon. I'm going to apologize in advance. My pronunciation of these words is going to be terrible, so if you know how to pronounce them correctly, please correct me in the comments so that I can learn. The myth follows the dragon Nidhogg, who gnaws at the root of the world tree Yggdrasil. Obviously, this is very similar to the Targaryens attacking Westeros. But there's one step further here. The word Nid is actually a word for social stigma. The social stigma that it represents is the loss of status and honor of a villain. There's no doubt that Viserys Targaryen is a villain, and no doubt that he loses his status and honor.
You walk.
Remember earlier how I mentioned that blood would come back in the house words? The Targaryen house words are fire and blood. Pretty self-explanatory considering they used dragons to kill people, fire to make blood. Considering Viserys Targaryen in the grander scheme of things barely appears in both the books and the TV show, there's a surprising amount of differences between the two relating to this character. The first is his age is actually different between the book and the TV show. In the book, we learn that he's 7 at the end of Robert Baratheon's rebellion. However, in the show, we learn that he's actually 5 years old.
The greatest dynasty this world has ever seen on my shoulders since I was 5 years old.
Most characters were made to be older for the show, so it's interesting that he was younger. Another difference is we see more of his delusions of grandeur in the books than we do in the show. For example, there's a scene wherein Viserys borrows a sword. He's messing around and playing with it and boasting about how he's going to kill Robert Baratheon and win back the Iron Throne. Daenerys is watching him and comments herself that it's very obvious Viserys has no idea how to handle a sword. I mentioned earlier that Viserys believed he had a right to his sister. He believed that he would one day marry her and have children with her, as was typical in the Targaryen household. In the book, he takes his belief one step further by actually trying to rape her one day. This is thankfully not shown in the TV show. Harry Lloyd played Viserys for the show. Fun fact about Lloyd, he's actually Charles Dickens' great-great-grandson. Lloyd has said multiple times he absolutely adored filming the show. He's mentioned how the set and props were very intricately detailed and it was amazing to look at them. He's also said multiple times in interviews he loved being able to geek out as much as he wanted to on set. Do you believe that Viserys Targaryen deserved to die in the way that he did? Please tell me in the comment section down below. And until next time, happy bubbles! Thanks so much for watching this video and thank you to my Patreon bubblers for supporting the channel. If you want to see the other characters from the Game of Thrones series that I've covered, you can click on the box on the left. Or you can click on the box on the right to see the most recent video that I have published. Thanks for liking this video, subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell.